Hey folks, this is Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. And I'm black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. And everyone's talking about it now. The fallout from the actor John Majors you know, getting accused by his girlfriend of violent assault. And then, the media has come down on this man, his own management and PR team. They've dropped him and decided they don't want to represent him anymore. He's been getting dropped from a lot of the major movie roles that he was going to be doing in the coming years. A lot of people have turned their backs on him, and he's even being dropped because he was going to be in a lot of different advertisements for the military. He's being dropped from that as well. And even now, there are some more white females trying to come out there to accuse him of doing something to them. Okay, so I'm letting you know, if Jonathan Majors, if he sneezed on a white woman, they're going to say that he did something to them, or if he bumped into them by accident or whatever. Okay, because they did the same thing with Bill Cosby, where they found any woman who had any type of interaction with Bill Cosby and made it seem as if it was all he had drugged and raped all of them. That's what they're going to do with Jonathan Majors now. They're going to make it seem like he beat up and choked all of these women. And even so, even though Jonathan Majors has come out with more evidence, like actual video evidence of what happened in this whole incident with his girlfriend, and shows that he did not hurt her the way everyone is making it seem like, it still doesn't matter. These people are not, these white people, that's how they do things with you. They'll build you up and put you on a pedestal when they want you there, and then as soon as you do something or it's perceived that you do something that they don't like, they'll kick you to the curb. And that's what they're doing with Jonathan Majors now. So that's the main story, but there's a few other things that I want to talk about in this video. And one of the things that, like, as time has gone on, I've actually done some research into the history of Jonathan Majors, and some very interesting things have popped up, and I wanted to share them with you to see what you folks think about all of this, and I'll give you my opinion as well. So, first off, Jonathan Majors is the product of being abandoned by his actual father. Okay, so he was abandoned by his real biological father, and he wound up growing up with his mother and her dusty boyfriend who got out of prison, who was verbally and physically abusive to both the mother and also to Jonathan Majors when he was younger. So he got a lot of pain and a lot of mental and emotional issues based off of that. Also, Jonathan Majors had a lot of issues in school because people would attack him and make fun of him because of his looks. So he's one of these black people who has very strong facial features, and I think it's absolutely disgusting that black people as a whole have to go through this, especially with our own people, where our own people will make fun of us for the way that we look. And I can understand, like, I went through the same thing as he did. I just dealt with it a lot differently. But he would get made fun of for having a big nose and big lips, or, very small eyes or whatever. And people would make fun of him, and he would actually get into actual fist fights with these people. So he's known for getting into a lot of fights. He's known for getting into things like petty theft and whatnot. So he's dealt with a lot in his young life and in his short time on this planet. Because I think he's only in his early 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And, he had a lot of issues with his family, and then going on to having issues in school and, with people around him. Even when he got into acting school or got into, just wanting to act and perform in theater. Even other people that would own these theater groups or people who would teach him in these acting classes would tell him that, you're a very talented actor, but you're not attractive. That they would just outright tell him that, saying like, you are very talented, you're great at performing, but you're not attractive. So you're going to have to, build up certain skills because to distract people from how you look. That's what he's heard all his life. So I want to bring that up only because, a lot of black females will get online and say that how black men tear them down and how they look. And I want you to know that black men experience this as well. Black men experience this a lot. And like I said, I went through a lot of the same things that Jonathan Majors went through, but I didn't handle it through violence. I was just extremely good at going back and forth with people as far as tearing them down with my words. So you see me do that here on this channel. So, I wouldn't respond with violence, but if you talk trash about me, I would find an imperfection about you and talk about that. So that's how I dealt with things. And people would normally leave me alone because when I give it back to them, give them that same energy, they don't want to continue anymore. Okay. And I usually wind up gaining respect because of that. Now, he took a different route, and it seems like it's caused him to have a lot of issues in his life. And, like I said, I see a lot of, I've even seen black women now talk about how he's ugly. And I think that's very despicable, especially considering that's all black women talk about on social media, how people don't find them attractive or, there's something wrong, that featureism and colorism and all this stuff. But then they turn around and do the exact same thing to this man. I think that's very disturbing. And don't think that he can't see that. Don't think that he's not on social media or hasn't seen these things. I know he says he mostly keeps to himself, but I'm sure he's seen how disrespectful a lot of black women can be to him. And then they wonder why he chooses to be with white females. Now, I don't agree with that either. And I don't think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's not a good route to go when you feel that you've been rejected or picked on by black people. I think that's a terrible way to go. And it's proven to be a terrible way to go for him. But, it kind of shows, I understand how he got into that mold as well. And it's been revealed to me that he actually does have a child out there by a white female. I think he had a baby mama out there somewhere who I think they live in Atlanta, and he doesn't really have any type of communication with her or his child anymore, but he does have a white baby mama out there somewhere, okay? And, he seems to like to pal around with a lot of these white females. And once again, it stems from the issues that he had with his mother and her dusty boyfriend, and it stems from the issues of like black people throughout his life calling him ugly and tell him, so when you have that deadly combination of rejection and, stress and violence and, being abused verbally and physically, that drives a lot of people to want to be accepted any way they can be accepted. So that's why, so now I understand why this fool had no problem dressing up like a pink flamingo and looking like a character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when all those pictures came out earlier in the year of him, all dazzled up in pink and him poking out his lips and all this other stuff. And, people praising him for being this moist male and trying to explain to us black men, what masculinity was all about. And now that he got caught out there with the white girl and beating her up, now all of a sudden people are taking that acceptance away. Now, he went from the highest height of popularity right down to the lowest low in no time flat, in less than a month. It turned around completely. It reminded me of Jay-Z's song from back in the day, Dead Presidents, when he says like they repoed your vehicle. Everything was going good a week ago. That's what it seemed like to me. That everything was going great, and then just all of a sudden it can all be taken away. And I think this is a great lesson for all black people to learn, not just these black celebrities or these black athletes. It's a great lesson to learn how everything, the so-called white acceptance, is very flimsy. It's not something that you can build any type of foundation on. It can always be taken away from you. And we should all know that based on what we've seen happen to a lot of these black celebrities. Like, I don't see why black celebrities don't get this. Black celebrities should know this better than anybody else, how all this shit can be taken away from you. You're not promised to have all of this fame and this love from these white folks. As soon as you do something with them, they're going to take it away. I saw very recently the comedian Corey Holcomb talked about that on his podcast, just saying, hey, this is why I don't even try to be mainstream. This is why I'd rather just stick with a black audience, because Corey Holcomb is hilarious. Corey Holcomb, if life was really fair and all about, everything being okay, he would be one of the most popular comedians ever. But he says, I'd rather stick to that local, in the city, the hood black audience, as he puts it. He calls it his hood audience. And I can appreciate that. I understand that. He said, I'd rather stick with them because at least I know they support me through thick and thin. They're not going to build me up and then just take everything away from me. You see? And that frees him because he can have whatever type of opinion he wants on whatever he sees in the world without having to cater or kowtow or go along with whatever the quote-unquote mainstream says you have to go along with. You see? Then you don't get into situations like Kyrie Irving or Kanye West or whoever when they have a difference of opinion on how things should go, or what religion they follow, or what they believe in, or what they thought happened during a certain situation in the mass media. You see? So, Jonathan Majors, I doubt you'll hear this, but if you do hear this, brother, stay away from these white folks as best you can. I hope everything is not taken from you. I hope that you're able to continue working, because I do believe that you actually enjoy what you do as far as acting goes, but you need to see it as just a job. Like Denzel Washington talks about this all the time. He sees acting as a job, as something that you do. You finish your job, you get paid, and then you go home back to your family. And that's why Denzel has been able to stay so insulated and isolated away from Hollywood. He didn't want to go to the Hollywood parties. He stuck with his family, you see? And that's where you need to be if you're going to do this type of career. Do your job, get your paycheck, go home, get the next acting job, you see? Don't try to be out there partying and hanging out, going on boats with all these white women like Michael B. Jordan does. His time is coming soon too, by the way. If it hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen sooner or later. I hope he can avoid this by seeing what's happening to you right now. I really hope that. But, a lot of you Negroes, you let white Hollywood gas your head up and tell you that you're large and you're great and we love you. And they put all this nonsense on you. They'll dress you up like a female, have you out there looking just as moist can be. And I know, just based on John Major's upbringing, I know he's not down with that. But, he did it just to be accepted, right? He thought that was the way to gain acceptance in Hollywood. And he spouted a lot of stuff that I know from his hood upbringing he does not believe in. But he went that route just to keep in their favor. And, doing so, they still rejected you later on. They're still taking things away from you now. There's still people just coming out of the woodwork talking about how you're rude and mean and vicious and all this other nonsense. You see? And really, I don't necessarily believe all of that, because just as a black man, I know that just being a black man who stands up for himself, or a black man who is steadfast, and you're not an outward homosexual, they're going to view you as a threat, mean, vicious, whatever. If you're a black man who just has common sense, you're always going to be seen as the worst thing ever. But I want to, ask you folks, what do you think about all this and all the stuff that I revealed about Jonathan Majors? And what do you think about all the things that's happening to him now? Once again, I'm not out here trying to say I support these black celebrities, because I know they don't support us. But just psychoanalyzing and socially analyzing what's going on with him right now can be a very important lesson for us all. Do not get caught up in the fame and the glitz and the glamour of this nonsense, because it's all a facade. It's all fake. It's not real. And they can take that shit away from you at any time they want to. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back on my foot on the devil's back.